You're on the couch. Maybe you just sat down for the first time in hours. Your baby is in your lap, quiet for once. No fussing, no crying, just sitting there. And then you feel it, a tiny hand pressing against your arm. It's soft, no pull, just a warm little palm resting against your skin. You glance down and they're looking right at you. Like that one small touch is doing all the talking for them. Most parents smile when this happens. Some barely even recognize it. But almost nobody stops to ask what that touch actually means, and honestly, the answer is far bigger than you'd expect. Because babies don't reach for you by accident. Even in those early months, when it seems like everything they do is random, their hands are already learning to tell you things their voice can't yet express. That small hand pressing against your skin is one of the most purposeful things they can do at that age. And once you start understanding what's behind it, you'll never look at that little hand the same way again. Let's start with what almost everyone overlooks. Sometimes, your baby reaches for you because they need you, but they haven't started crying yet. That gentle press on your hand, it's their version of a quiet word, a whisper before the storm, a private little signal meant only for you. Think about what crying really is. It's an alarm. It's the most urgent signal a baby has. But before that alarm goes off, there's usually a softer one, a reach, a touch, a small hand landing on your skin. They're saying, I'm getting close to needing you, and they're giving you a window to respond before the tears even begin. What's remarkable is how early this starts to become intentional. Within the first few months, babies begin to understand cause and effect in the most personal way possible. They learn that reaching toward you produces a result. You turn, you look, you pick them up. That cycle builds over time, and it becomes the very beginning of real conversation between you and your child. And the fact that they choose your body over everything else in their environment says more than you might realize. They're passing over the blanket. They're ignoring the colorful toy hanging above them. They're reaching for the one presence that consistently makes things feel better. That's beyond instinct. That's early recognition. Now here's where it starts to go deeper. When your baby puts their hand on your skin and keeps it there, their whole body begins to change. Their breathing slows down. Their muscles loosen. Sometimes their eyes get heavy almost immediately, and that reaction has a real explanation. Studies on infant development have found that physical contact with a primary caregiver directly affects a baby's heart rate, cortisol levels, and even internal temperature regulation. When that little hand touches against you, their nervous system receives a signal that is almost impossible to replicate through any other source. The signal says safe. And their entire body responds to it almost instantly. This is the same reason skin-to-skin contact matters so deeply in those first hours after birth. It's more than an emotional moment for parents. It's a physiological reset for the baby. They learn what safety feels like on a level that goes far beyond conscious thought. And that learning doesn't fade after the first week or even the first month. Long after those early days, when your baby reaches out and touches their palm flat against your chest, they're returning to the same source, the one place their body trusts above everything else. You aren't just holding them in that moment. You're stabilizing their entire internal world, and they already know it. But it goes beyond calming down. Part of that touch is recognition. Babies learn who their primary caregiver is through smell, voice, and physical closeness far earlier than most parents ever realize. And when they reach out and make contact with your skin, they're confirming what they already feel deep in their body. They've mapped your scent. They recognize the rhythm of your heartbeat from months of being held against your chest. That small hand on your arm is their way of saying, I know exactly who you are. This is actually why babies will sometimes reach for one parent over the other during certain moments. And it can sting when you're on the other side of that choice. But it's rarely about rejection. It's about which presence their nervous system has associated with comfort during that particular kind of need. Every time you held them during a feeding, every night you rocked them until their eyes finally closed, every time they woke up startled at 3 in the morning and your hand was the first thing they felt against their skin, those moments stack up. They build a map inside your baby's mind, an emotional blueprint that says, this person is where I go when the world feels like too much. There's another layer to this that most people never even consider. Sometimes your baby touches you because they're checking on you. They notice when your attention shifts. They register the change when your gaze drifts away to a screen, a doorway, or another person across the room. And that little touch on your face in that exact moment, that's a question. Are you still here with me? Are you still close? Babies are far more perceptive than we give them credit for. They're reading your presence constantly, even before they understand what the word attention means. And when they sense it drifting, they reach for you quietly. For a baby, your attention is more than pleasant. It's essential. It's how they organize the world around them. When your eyes are on them, they feel safe. When your focus shifts away, a gap opens up. It is invisible to you, but absolutely real to them. That touch is their way of closing it. And this is exactly where your response becomes incredibly important. Because how you react to those quiet reaches teaches your baby how relationships work. It shapes the way they learn to ask for what they need, and those lessons stay with them far longer than you'd imagine. When that little hand lands on you and you meet it, you're telling them that their quiet voice is enough, that the bridge between them and the people they love is real, and it holds weight every single time they step onto it. But if that touch gets overlooked again and again, the lesson slowly begins to change badly. They start to sense that the whisper doesn't reach you. And over time, they either learn to get louder or begin to pull inward. The beautiful thing is that preventing it doesn't require perfection. It just takes noticing, even a little late. Now, there's one more thing your baby does with that touch that might genuinely catch you off guard. And it's the one that changes how most parents see the whole picture. Sometimes, your baby will reach for you right before you're about to stand up, right before you shift them off your lap, right before you hand them over, almost like they felt it coming before it happened. And the truth is, they did. Babies are extraordinary readers of physical signals. The way your weight shifts before you stand, the subtle change in your posture when you're preparing to move, the slight tension that runs through your arms right before you lift them away from your body. They notice all of it, even if they have no words for any of it. And that hand pressing into your chest in that exact moment is a request. What makes this so striking is how much awareness it reveals. We tend to think of babies as simple: they eat, they sleep, they cry, and that's about it. But the reality is far richer than that. A baby who reaches out to hold you in place, even with a hand that can barely grip a finger, has already learned your rhythms. They already know the pattern of your day. And in their own quiet way, they're asking to stay inside that pattern a little longer. That kind of awareness is built from weeks and months of watching you. Your baby has been studying your movements since before they could hold their own head up. You are the most interesting thing in their world, and they've been paying closer attention than anyone else around you ever has. And then there's the final action, the one that most people walk right past without ever seeing it. When your baby places their hand on you and keeps it there, they're doing something that runs against their most basic wiring. Babies are designed to stay alert. Their survival depends on being reactive to every unfamiliar sound, every sudden movement, every shift in their environment. Their systems are constantly scanning, constantly processing. Everything is new and everything is potentially important. But when your baby puts their hand on you and lets their entire body go quiet, they've made a choice. They've told their own nervous system to stand down. The world around them hasn't changed. The sounds are still there. The lights are still on. The unfamiliar is still everywhere. And yet, in that moment, none of it registers, because your presence has overridden all of it. For a baby, that is a very big situation. In a world packed with unfamiliar faces, unpredictable sounds, and sensations they haven't figured out yet, your body is the one place where all of that fades into the background. You're the spot where their guard drops completely, where one hand resting on your chest is enough to say everything they can't put into words, and they trust that more than anything else they've encountered so far. So, the next time you feel that tiny palm land on your arm, your neck, your face pause, let it sit. Let it register in your body the way it was meant to, because that touch carries weight. It is intentional. It means something real, and it's coming from a person who chose you before they ever understood what choosing even means. It's your child reaching across the only bridge they have before language, before logic, before they understand anything about this world except one single truth. That little hand is telling you, in the only language they speak right now, that you are their safe place, their home before they knew the word. And honestly, that might be the most important thing anyone will ever say to you without making a single sound. If this made you pause and think about the way your baby reaches for you, you're exactly the kind of parent who belongs here. We talk about the things everyone else overlooks, The quiet moments that carry the deepest meaning. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you know another parent who needs to hear this today, send it to them. Sometimes one video is all it takes to change the way you see your child, and once that shift happens, everything else starts to look different too.